Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing good. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. As always, guys, if you are new to the channel, check out the memberships as well. There are added benefits there, members only videos, trade breakdowns, trade ideas as well. So if you are looking to follow the channel in a bit more detail, great place to start and check out. But hope everyone is doing good. What's up, young learner? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good, my man. Good morning, Precious. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing well. Good to see everyone on the stream. So we have, as I mentioned yesterday, a very eventful week this week. We've got a bunch of interest rates coming out this week. We just had the Aussie not yesterday, early hours of this morning. We've got US interest rates, CAD interest rates tomorrow, and we got Swiss the day after as well. So a very interesting time in the markets, and where potentially some big trends could start to form for the next, first stage of 2026, basically. So a lot to keep an eye on. As always, I'll go through pairs which I'm interested in, which I'm looking to trade this week. I'm being a bit cautious just before the news does come out, particularly the Fed. So I'm being a bit cautious with entries, particularly as a swing trader. I'd rather enter after than beforehand. So I'm being a bit cautious, but of course I'll share what I'm looking at. And of course, if you guys are interested in any pairs, let us know. Drop it in the chat if you have any markets you're looking to trade or currently trading. I'm interested to find out. But to start, we'll start with the dollar, so only right to. DXY, again, as I was mentioning yesterday, I have a pretty bearish outlook for this one. Again, looking at the higher time frames to support that narrative. I always want to use the lower time frames for execution, higher time frames for direction. So if I'm looking at the dollar, where do I want it? Where do I see price going? Well, I have to scale to the higher time frames to get that picture. And looking at the 3-week chart, as I mentioned, we've got these kind of tweezer tops, the past two candles, 1 wick, 2 wicks. Not looking great for the buyers there. Price is having a lot of resistance at this price support level, now turn resistance. And effectively, we are doing a pretty good job of respecting that zone. So I do expect to see over the next few weeks to see dollar start to decline and push towards support. Again, whether we break through or not, that's a different question. I pretty much argue that the dollar is in a bit of a range at the moment. So I'm not necessarily calling a breakout, but what I am calling is another push back into support. So the lower end of the range in and around this area. So I'm pretty bearish on the DXY. You can see you had that double top fade at the highs there as well. Not a good sign there for the buyers either. And I'm looking at this bearish structure continuing, especially after we took out this low last week. So in terms of opportunities, I did speak about this high here. I would like to see a pullback into that zone, especially with the news coming out. It'd be very nice to see price potentially push higher and then potentially come lower. It wouldn't be so great if the market just dumps upon the news release, because then I would have to wait for another pullback to actually find some opportunities to get into a trade. It'd be nice if the news pushes price up. We still do have that bearish narrative, and then we find some nice sells for the dollar or some longs for euro, longs for pound, shorts for dollar CAD, etc. So regarding the DXY, that's basically what I'm looking for. A pullback into the 99.5 area. Let's see if we can get that. Reject it well, then of course I'll start to look for opportunities on the USD crosses. In terms of targets, basically looking at this area here where we've got these two big rejections. So 1, 2, that's essentially where I'm looking for price to start to come back into. And then we'll go from there. Potentially break through, potentially respect it. We'll speak on that as we get nearer to those levels. So for now, pretty bearish on the dollar. If price was to suddenly break through that, I'll be a bit more cautious with the bearish bias. I wouldn't go neutral straight away. If we do break through the highs here, then yeah, that completely invalidates the bearish bias. At that point, I probably would be bullish actually. So from an invalidation standpoint, keep an eye on those highs. If they break, I wouldn't be bearish anymore. So taking that into some of the USD pairs, so pound USD, I quite like the price action as well. Really nice momentum. Again, I don't really want to be buying up here. This is kind of seller's territory. I want price to pull back. I'm looking basically at this demand zone here, especially if price can maybe go and pinch the lows there. That would be a very nice place for a tight entry and a tight stop loss. We get a pullback into there. Again, it's a pretty big pullback, but since we had such a bullish week last week, I am waiting for that kind of discount price. And of course, especially if the news come in, a move like that isn't unheard of. We could have a big tank upon the news release as well. So I'm looking to see if we can get that push back into that low and hopefully some buys later on. Euro USD, similar idea as well. I like the buys here too. Again, I was speaking about this low here yesterday, looking to see if price can push down into that area, potentially even sweep the low as well. And I'm basically looking for the next higher low to see if I can take euro to the upside from that area. Targets, I'm not being too optimistic. Probably just look at some of these swings to our left. I'm not going to be looking to shoot all the way back to the highs here. The market is quite messy still. If I go to the daily chart, you can see we are quite flat. It's not necessarily a healthy bullish market anymore. We are quite flat. So keeping targets a bit more on the conservative side of things, because I expect price to eventually struggle. But who knows? Maybe with the news, we have newfound momentum and we can break through that. But yeah, very, very interested in some of these longs here on the USD setups. What's up, Bashi, my man? Hope you're doing good. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. I appreciate it. Thank you for the message. Yeah, guys, do like, share, subscribe. It does really help out. And of course, if you are enjoying the content, make sure you do hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Appreciate it, Bashi. Hope you're doing good, my man. Hope you're doing good. What's up, LFTJ? Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. AB Crombie, are you expecting higher low job numbers? I'm not really expecting anything, to be honest. My eyes are peeled on the Fed interest rate, so I'm not really too concerned about the job numbers. Of course, I know it will have effect to the market, but I'm also concerned what happens with the rates tomorrow, and of course, what is said afterwards. Really, I do really have my technical bias with USD, which is pretty bearish. So I'm very kind of getting ready for that opportunity. But of course, you know, who knows, potentially something happens with the news or something said that changes everything. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, I'm pretty bearish on the dollar, looking to see what happens with the rates tomorrow. And that's really where my focus is. High impact news is today or tomorrow. Tomorrow, LFTJ. If you're regarding, and we do have some news today, but if you're regarding the interest rates, those are tomorrow. But today we do have the job openings, which is at let me double check. We do have that at 3 o'clock UK time. We had Aussie already earlier today. Yeah. And we've got ADP employment change as well at 1:15 too. So there are some red folder news today, but if you're regarding the big one, then yeah, that's tomorrow afternoon. And CAD as well on that day too. Yeah, jolts for today in the afternoon, so keep an eye. But yeah, my focus primarily is on the interest rates. Those are typically the bigger movers in the market. Of course, other news will have its impact as well. But again, I want to make sure that I have my technical bias sound, and if it could be supported by a narrative from the Fed after the interest rates released, well, that's a good confidence for the trade. And if things change, if the technicals level I'm looking to hold don't hold anymore, then of course I will have to adapt and reanalyze the market. But for now, that's very much what my plan is going ahead into the week. But we'll see how everything unfolds tomorrow. And pretty much across the board, USD pairs, I'm looking at shorts, dollar CAD as well. Very bearish, really big move to the downside, expecting a push towards this low. And I'm basically looking for a healthy pullback now for dollar CAD, which again, I don't really have a concrete level as to where I'm looking to short dollar CAD from. So it's more so I'm kind of just monitoring price as the candlesticks print. And hopefully in the next few days or whenever, we might see a nice level that does form, which I could be looking for the retest of, place my shorts, and hopefully take advantage of a nice continuation towards 1.355-ish, 353. So yeah, dollar CAD pretty bearish on, Aussie dollar pretty bullish. We had the rates for Aussie yesterday, and it looks like that's come out bullish as well for Aussie as well. So perhaps Aussie could still see some continued strength going to 2026. Of course, this will be impacted by USD as well. So it's not just Aussie we have to worry about, but everything's looking pretty bullish here for Aussie. I wouldn't be surprised again if this one is likely to go and take out the highs there to our left. So pretty bullish there for Aussie as well. FOMC, yeah, FOMC's tomorrow, Jolts September and October today. GJ and CAD Yen, very interesting. Take a look. Okay, we'll go take a look at CAD Yen. Bashi, I paused trade after FOMC, sleeper messed up. So fair enough, fair enough. Not yet A game. GJ made all-time highs. Yeah, GJ absolutely flying. It looks like the yen pairs are still just loving life at the moment. So yeah, if you're going to do anything with the yen pairs, absolutely is looking to buy them. Absolutely is looking to buy. We'll discuss GJ and CAD. Yeah, I'll probably take a look at the yen basket as well. Actually, I'll go through the yen basket first because I think that's the bigger player actually, so we can see what's going on across the board. Then I'll go in a bit more detail on GJ and CAD Yen. But as you can see, not GJ, you see the yen basket still falling out the sky and looking very, very bearish. Again, this has been the target for the yen basket and looks like we are likely to keep pushing towards that low, perhaps take out the low. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But things are looking pretty bearish here. So going forward with the yen basket, if you look to do anything, I would very strongly recommend to sell the yen, effectively buy the yen crosses. That's the trend. That's the dominant force at play. Of course, there might be some intraday short-term sell opportunities, but primarily I'll stay focused with the buyers in this one. You don't really want to be forcing too much against the narrative, against the bigger trend. So with that said, and with the distance still yet to be covered, expected to be covered, that means there's likely more room to the upside for these yen pairs. Now, pound yen taking up the highs is very bullish, but I wouldn't suggest now's the best time to be looking to buy pound yen. I would be waiting for some type of pullback for this one, because after we take out highs here, you can imagine a lot of profit taking could be happening. A lot of people would have had this high as a long-term profit target, potentially taking some of their positions off the table. And naturally, after prices take out a high, especially a high which hasn't been tested in multiple years, is probably going to see some type of reaction. Now, it doesn't mean I expect price to reverse. However, probably would see a pullback shortly afterwards. So looking for a bit of a dip there for pound yen. Euro yen still looks very bullish. Of course, I think this is just taking up the high as well. So again, not the best time to be buying. Swiss yen hasn't done that yet. I still do think there's upside here for Swiss yen. Swiss has been a bit more on the difficult side of things because Swiss has been losing some of its strength recently. If you take a look at this, take a look at the Swiss crosses, they've been looking like they've been going through some mini reversals there. So it looks like Swiss is losing its strength a little bit, but yen is still the weaker currency, hence why we've still seen a bit of move to the upside. So in terms of opportunity, I think there's opportunity here with Swiss yen because we haven't made a move back to the high yet. In terms of entries, probably looking for price to push back towards the low of this range because essentially we have just been back and forth in this area. I would probably suggest another push to the low. That will be the best place for an entry, especially if you can sweep the low and then have that push, because effectively this to me just looks like a flag sort of correction pattern, having a pullback, retesting some prior highs to our left. I would imagine this is a right place for a long opportunity. I wouldn't, again, look to jump into some buys now. Looks like we're testing some resistance / supply to our left there. So I'll be a bit more careful with Swiss yen. But in terms of pound yen, like I said, pullback is now kind of the play, really. Unless maybe you're already in a long position and you're kind of just trading stops, that's great. But if you're looking to get involved, I would at least be looking for a pullback back into some structure, effectively at least 207. And then I'll still be even cautious there just because of where we're trading. In terms of CAD yen's interesting. This one is nowhere near its highs from 2024, which is where pound yen, euro yen, Swiss yen has all gone and taken out. This is the corresponding high for CAD yen. It was still acres away from that level. Now, is price going to make that move? Possibly. Is a long distance to cover. I wouldn't really try and make that big prediction just yet. But what I would say is that it looks like price is breaking some significant resistance to our left here, which could be the sign of price yet to make that move. So going forward with CAD yen as well, I do think lower time frame pullbacks are the best play. Again, I would be a bit cautious because we have just taken out some major highs here too. So I don't really want to be the first person in the market after that move. But let's say if we do see some real strength come into play and price really continues there, well, that's a bit of a statement. Then I would expect just pullbacks and continuations after that. Of course, we do have the CAD interest rate coming out tomorrow as well, so effectively might be best to wait till after that too. And I think we've got Bank of Japan maybe next week as well. So we do have quite a nice cluster of interest rates this kind of week or two. But post all of that, if we can still maintain this trend, then I think, again, buying pullbacks makes the most sense here. Still a very effective uptrend, high low still being respected. I'll look for the next pullback, hopefully post the news as well. Had to keep me 6 to get ready for London. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do get the streams going pretty early there. Bashir, don't blame you. Don't blame you, my man. Sleep's catching up to you. Is it ill for 2-3 days? Oh, hope you're better now, my man. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you do have the urge even to trade when you're ill, but it's probably not the best time to be trading when you're ill because your decision will probably be a bit off, a bit sluggish. NQ view, I'm in shorts. Interesting. I'm pretty bullish on the Nasdaq, but again, that's more of a swing outlook. We can definitely go through the indices. I'm quite bullish on pretty much all the indices, all the major ones anyway. Very much looking for buys on Nasdaq, S&P, US 30, FTSE. The DAX looks good, but it's just in a very range-bound market, so I'm being a bit cautious jumping into that one. If you're looking at shorts intraday, I can get on board there, on board on that idea. But again, I would be, keeping that intraday. No, not looking to hold up even into tomorrow, to be honest. But we'll take a look at Nasdaq. I'll probably drop to the intraday charts because I figure you're probably selling on some intraday timeframes. Replay, what's up, man? Hope you're doing good. I took a trade 193 and Swiss yen. What do you think? Okay, we'll take a look at that. I assume you're talking about a long trade. But yeah, as for Nasdaq, so I'm pretty bullish on Nasdaq. I'm looking for a push back to highs here, back to 26,262. I got a nice zone here, which I'm waiting to see if price can pull back into, retest that support level, and hopefully get some upside. Hopefully after the news as well. Tomorrow to get some longs back to the high. So that's the swing play I'm looking at. Very bullish across the board on the indices. So I'm not looking to sell the market at all, to be honest. In terms of intraday, so if I drop to like a 15-minute chart, again, even intraday, I wouldn't really want to be looking to sell, to be honest, just because market structure is still up. We're still very consistent with these higher lows. We had this latest drive yesterday, which again still respected support there. So buys are still very much the dominant force here, even on the intraday charts as well. Yes, maybe the market is due for a bit of a deeper pullback, but again, I wouldn't try and guess when that's going to happen. Very, very difficult to do that, especially on the low time frames as well, without kind of any confirmation with structure. So if I was looking to short the Nasdaq, I'd probably keep an eye on this high here. I think this is a logical place for at least the reaction. But again, I would probably have the mentality that I'm looking to sculpt rather than looking for like a meaningful swing on this in this type of context. The market is pretty much bullish in all time frames, even intraday as well. We're still respecting structure. Higher lows are still consistent. There's not a lot really going for the sellers right now. This level might give us a bit of a reaction, but that's about it. And if I see price not reacting well, I'll get out of that trade pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm not really with the sell bias even intraday. I suppose this level could give us a bit of a reaction, but that's about it. And again, I'll treat that trade more of a scalp rather than like a meaningful swing. Not that the market can't sell off. It's just I don't really have a lot of evidence to support that idea. Buys for me look like they're firmly in control, so I'd rather be a buyer than a seller. So yeah, that's kind of my view on the Nasdaq. We can take a look at Swiss yen. Replay has got a position at 193. LFTJ gold still waiting for 41.12. We can discuss that as well. But in the meantime, trading that hour range between 42. Okay, look at some short-term trades as well. We can take a look at gold. I do think there's opportunity in gold, but again, I need a bit of a pullback for that one. Yeah, we're kind of stuck at resistance, as you mentioned, in that bit of a range. That's a bit of an awkward situation. But yeah, as for Swiss yen, I like the buys for Swiss yen. Still a very confident uptrend in the higher time frame, so direction is pretty clear to me. As you can see, a very textbook range there. Even got probably a nice trend line connecting the higher lows here too. So, everything is pointing up. Again, I want to be a buyer if I'm looking to trade this market. If I'm looking to sell, I want to be in and out as quick as possible, really. So for Swiss yen, if you're looking to buy, we did speak about support here last week. And Replay, you said you got a trade at 193, so roughly around here. Yeah, I think you're looking pretty good. What's your targets? What's the plan for the trade? You're looking to swing it back to highs, or you're looking at resistance over here? Because effectively, there's a pretty big level here too, which could potentially reject price. But if the narrative is going to continue, if the trend's going to continue, if yen weakness is going to continue, I would actually expect us to break through that level. But that could be a good place to secure some profits, or maybe trail a stop loss potentially. But yeah, with Swiss yen, I like the buys. I said if you're looking for entries, this would be a nice place to get into the trade. So if you weren't in a trade or potentially get stopped at break even, I would still bet on re-entries at the low. As long as we don't have an aggressive break of structure there, I would expect price to bounce and likely reverse back to the upside with the highs of the long-term target. So yeah, Swiss yen, I like what I'm seeing. Yen still looks pretty weak. We have a look at the yen basket, which is still falling out the sky pretty much. So yen looks still the weakest currency pretty much, although Swiss has been weakening recently, but it looks like yen is still the weaker currency out of the two. So yeah, very bullish on Swiss yen. I like the trade idea. Like I said, I'll keep an eye on resistance here. This could be a nice place to book some profits. But yeah, I think there's opportunity for a push back to highs. So I definitely agree with that one. We'll take a look at gold next. Pavinator, my man, what's up? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well. Aussie dollar had a mad move up. Yes, we had some rates come out for Aussie yesterday. Well, not yesterday. I keep saying yesterday, early this morning. Looks like it's bullish for Aussie. We'll see what dollar has to say tomorrow, though. And then look for retracement. We'll enter sell at 0.6254 and see how far I can write it down. Okay, so you're looking to sell the pullback, it looks like, and then buy after retracement's over. I like it. So you're looking to play both sides. Preferably me, I'm still looking predominantly for buys. I'm not really interested in the sells for Aussie. I do think the bigger move is likely still to the upside, but perhaps there's a bit of room to the downside first. Of course, you mentioned the retracement before maybe price does continue on its path. So my long-term goal is very much a push back to the highs here for Aussie. 0.67 is where I expect price to be ending up. In terms of opportunities for a pullback, I'm looking to see if price can either come back and test support here, or even better, come back and retest this prior high. This is the last high before we had this down move, and suddenly from there, the market's been looking very, very bullish. So ideally, I would like to see a pullback towards that zone. I think that would be a very nice place for a pullback. And hopefully, if we reject well, great place to start placing some entries. And the risk reward looks pretty appealing for a push back to the swing high, or at the very least, the high wherever we pull back from. So yes, I can see the logic with the sells because you're trying to anticipate that pullback and write it down. I'd rather just be a buy because I expect that to be the bigger move. And of course, the pullback may not happen. Maybe price does just rally from here onwards, of course. But yeah, I can see price respecting resistance pretty well. So there's definitely some ideas here with some shorts. But in my book, I'm just going to be waiting for the longs here. Keep a close eye around 0.658, preferably, yeah, preferably that level there. I mean, I'll keep an eye on this low too, just around 0.66, a nice big psychological level. But if you can push a little bit deeper, I think that would be a prime place to pick up some longs. And of course, we'll see what USD does tomorrow. Okay, target 194.6. Okay, let me have a look at that. 194.6. Okay, so that's basic resistance here. Yeah, I think that's an effective target as well. Nice momentum. A little bit of an ugly wick there, but can't, not every candle is going to look beautiful in your favor. Some will be a little bit volatile as we have this wick here, and as prices probably pushed into a bit of a supply zone. So we're getting that reaction. But effectively looking to buy at the low 193. I think entries in a great place. Targets 194.6 make a lot of sense back to the high of the range. I think in terms of entry target, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I like the idea. Of course, whether it plays out or not, that's a different question. But I think there's clear logic with that trade. So hopefully we can go smash into targets. I do think there's a likeliness for us to do that, especially with the yen being so weak. It's just what the Swiss is doing at the moment. I feel like maybe people get a bit apprehensive of the Swiss because, again, interest rates coming out pretty soon for Swiss as well on Thursday too. So perhaps we might see this turn into a bit of a stalemate until Thursday morning. Maybe securing some partials just before the rates come out could be a bit of a smart move. What's up, Mercy? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. In some nice gold longs. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at gold now. Take a look at gold for LFTJ as well. Up 600 right now on the funded. Wicked. Good to hear, my man. Keep it up. Gold is still quite flat though, so I'll be careful with those profits, those floating profits, because gold is still just kind of jumping up and down. So, I wouldn't necessarily bank on this happening here. We could still see this till the news, to be honest. I feel like we probably will see that because we've just found ourselves within a range here. And yeah, typically that does happen a lot before big news comes out. And of course, if we look to our left, we're still stuck at major resistance over there too. So I'm very bullish on gold. I would suggest protect that trade as we get closer to the news tomorrow. We still got quite a while. I mean, it's not till 7 p.m. UK time tomorrow. So you still got more than 24 hours and we could still see a meaningful move to the upside before that happens. So I wouldn't start panicking just yet, but just keep that in mind. But yeah, I like gold. I do think the trend's likely to continue back to highs 43.78 and maybe some new all-time highs as well. I would want to see a pullback from a more of a swing perspective. I do think this is where the value is for gold more so. I don't really want to be buying too close to the high here. As LFTJ mentioned, I think this is a good place just to be looking to play the range, buy low, sell high, and not be trying to hold the trade too long, because I think right now we're just in a very indecisive situation. We've got a range, we've got a big news event coming up. I'm not expecting any breakouts before then, so be watchful of that. But let's say if gold can break to the downside, come back to test this zone, I do think that's a very logical place for a higher low to form, and perhaps a great place to position yourself long, at the very least to push back to resistance. Maybe you roll back over from there. But if things go very well, perhaps a push back to all-time highs and maybe even new ones as well. So I think gold longs is a smart play, but I would want price to be at a slightly deeper price before I would look to enter any buys. So that's still very much the play there. But yeah, within the range, buy low, sell high, best way to play the market in ranges. Of course, keep an eye on the 50%. That's always a smart place to book some profits. If I just use the fib here, kind of just ignore everything else. 382, 618, 786. You got the 0.5 right in the middle. That's always a nice place to potentially book some partials. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to exit the trade, but that's an area where price can get a bit noisy because that's effectively the mean of the range. So that's where you're going to see the most noise, the most fluctuation. Tosh, what's up? Hope you're doing good. I'm good, my man. I'm good. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Any markets you're looking at, feel free to let us know. Anton, dollar yen business. We can discuss dollar yen as well. That's looking pretty bullish too. For me, I don't see any trends until after the rate cut announcement. Yeah, I mean that's a smart way to play it. I mean that's kind of how I'm looking to play it at the moment. I mean I do have, because I'm a very technical trader, I do have a lot of technical setups which I do have my eye on. It's just I'm not looking to execute on any of the big ones until after the news, because effectively that's when all the big players are going to reposition themselves in the market after that has happened. So yeah, as if you're looking for a swing perspective, it's always best to wait till after that has happened, after the big players are making their moves, because then you're likely to be on the right side of that. Anything before the news, especially just before, is kind of just old news and old analysis, if you will. Not that it's not useful, it's just that things can change quite drastically. So yeah, I mean, again, everyone's kind of anticipating the same thing with the dollar. So you kind of get in the you're kind of getting the market shift to fit the narrative of what everyone's expecting to be. It's only in the instance where the news comes out what people are not expecting, or something is said in the press conference which people are not expecting. Then, of course, you're going to get things change quite drastically, and that's where potentially you can have to reanalyze and plot some new ideas. But yeah, from the USD side of things, yeah, I'm waiting until after the news happens before I do place any trades, because again, when I'm looking to place a swing trade, I'm looking to hold it for a few days, potentially even a couple of weeks if things go very well. So with that said, I don't want to jump in too early when the market's not quite ripe, and especially the added volatility, widened spreads can of course knock you out position early too, which is another downside of entering just before, trying to hold through the news. If I've already got a trade on and I'm well in profit, then that's fine. I'll let the news do all at once. But especially if I'm trading USD, I want to be a little bit on the safer side of things. Anyway, we'll go through dollar yen. Let's see, you're looking to close out later today. Don't like holding before news. Yeah, I think that's a smart play as well. Especially if you're looking to trade volatile markets. Gold, very, very volatile. No point really trying to hold that through the news, especially in the current conditions as well. Look how congested that is. I can't guarantee, but I think there's a high chance that price is going to run either of the highs, if not both. So yeah, any stop losses above the high or below the low, very, very vulnerable for gold right there. So I'd be very, very cautious holding any trades in that situation. It's different if you're positioned here. If you got a long trade here and the market's here, you can move stops to break even and just sit through the news, see what happens, lock in some partials. Potentially price rises in your favor and you're looking pretty good. Worst case scenario, price comes back down, maybe hits your trading stop loss or break even, you walk away for a small win. So the risk is minimized if you're further away, but if you're right in the thick of it, you're asking for trouble, especially on a market as volatile as gold. So yeah, be extremely careful there, especially if you're trading a funded account as well. There's no real point taking that added risk. If you get slipped badly, it's not a good thing. Anyway, let's take a look at dollar yen. So we can go through dollar yen. Dollar yen again is a one to be cautious with, because again, it's not the USD pair. In terms of the technicals, everything is still pointing up here for dollar yen. It's funny because I said I'm pretty bearish from the dollar, but I wouldn't be looking to try and short dollar yen at all. I'm bearish on the dollar, but I'm even more bearish on the yen. So by default, I do have a bullish narrative here for dollar yen. And of course, looking at the market structure, we've been trending pretty well. Now, I still do expect us to go smash into resistance here and even potentially resistance there as well. So I do have some higher targets which I'm expecting price to go and take out over the next few days. But again, in terms of finding any solid entries, especially from a swing perspective, I want to wait till after the news before I do that. What I will say though is looks like price is breaking through this counter trend line very well. So that's our counter trend line keeping us bearish. Price has just seen a pretty significant break of that. So it looks like buyers are stepping back in, and potentially this could be, price getting ready for that breakout and that continuation. Excuse me. It's just a bit difficult to place any long-term trades here going into the news tomorrow. So again, wait until after then before getting into any kind of big swing trades. Of course, intraday trades, you can get away with that, but even then, the market may not move too much as well. So you have to be careful with the intraday positions too. But yeah, dollar yen for me is still a bullish market, still showing clear signs of bullish momentum. We're breaking out of structure here as well. So that's another bullish sign coming into play. If everything does follow suit, there's a very high chance we'll be pushing back to the highs at the 157.9 area. So yeah, still very bullish here for dollar yen. Pretty much all the yen pairs I'm pretty bullish on. I wouldn't be looking to sell them. Will the rate decision affect HK50 because I'm a long position? I mean, the interest rates pretty much affect all markets. Fed interest rates affect all markets. Now, how much it will affect the Hong Kong index, I don't really know because I don't trade it. So I don't really have much experience with that market, pretty much any, to be honest. I barely look at it. But majority of markets are affected from the Fed interest rates. The FTSE is affected, Japanese index is affected, Euro index is affected. So all those indices across major economies around the world are affected because USD is, of course, is the world reserve currency. So I would imagine that market to be affected as well. So I would be cautious there. And of course, I'm not sure about spreads in that market, but I feel like spreads could get a little bit sticky as well during news hours. So I would be careful there. So if you're intraday, I would suggest just to exit that market before the news. You still got over a day, so you don't have to panic. You don't have to panic just yet. But as you're leading up to the news, keep an eye on spreads. I would probably suggest if you're waiting to profit, then of course, yeah, you got more leeway, you got more room for error. But if price is near your entry, I think just to be safe, especially if you're intraday, I would just call it quits on that trade. Again, it's your decision. I don't want to make that decision for you, but that's just my advice. Also in pound CAD sales, nice. I'm looking at pound CAD sales as well this week. I don't have an entry just yet, but I'm looking to see if I can find some shorts on this one. Again, I'm expecting price to rip through the lows here in the next few days. The plan for me is to see if we can maybe consolidate or find some resistance. And then I'm looking for a short maybe towards the end of the week. But the idea is that we've had a really exaggerated rejection on the weekly chart. So you can see last week's candle there, piercing wick to the upside, close back bearish, gave us a nice shooting star pattern. Looks like we've had the momentum from the past few weeks. We've seen a lot of sideways price action, effectively that range. Price tried to break out once, failed. Price tried to break out twice, failed. And that there gives us the information that, okay, we're likely to bleed and see more downside now. Of course, we'll see what happens with the CAD interest rates, but I'm expecting pound CAD to start to see some downside and probably come back and test these lows here. So I'm pretty bearish here for pound CAD. Again, I'm also looking for entries on like a 2-hour chart, 4-hour chart. So slightly more of a swing opportunity rather than 15. But if I do drop to the 15, Yeah, 15 shorts do look good. However, we do still have structure to deal with here on our left. So it's not a smooth sailing back down to the lows. There is obstacles in our way. So I'll be watchful of that. I'm not too sure of how far you're looking to push the trade or where your targets are, but I do have a high time frame bearish bias as well. And I would be expecting price to get to this low and eventually the lows down there as well. So I definitely agree with the idea and the bias and direction. Um, but yeah, I'm just waiting for entries on my higher time frames first. NIK going to be correct someday if you see the 12-month chart is straight up. It's needs retracement in 12-month chart, but you need major fundamental news as well. What do you think? Yeah, of course, of course. Every chart is going to have its pullback, even the 12-month chart. I mean, I haven't actually looked at the 12-month chart, but let's have a look and see. Yeah, so yeah, very, very exponential, almost to a point where it kind of looks fake, to be honest. So yeah, very, very bullish. It's going to have its pullback. You're absolutely correct. But my biggest advice is don't try and anticipate that. You're absolutely correct. We do need major fundamental news to change that narrative because everyone and their dog is still very bullish on gold right now, which effectively could be a bit of like a trap. You know, everyone's bullish, therefore maybe price is going to retrace, but still, I wouldn't be the person to try and short the market and try and go against everyone. You know, we're just little retail traders. We don't have the power to go against that. So you're absolutely correct. The market is definitely due a correction, even from an exponential perspective. I mean, if I put this on log settings, you can see even if you put this on log settings, this massive move from 1970s all the way to 1980s, if you probably measure that move there, let's actually measure it just out of interest. So if you measure that move there, that is a 84,200 point move. And if you put that there, okay, we're not quite there. But effectively, in terms of percentage, it's not far off as well. That's 1,600 point move. That there is 1,000, 2,300 pip move. So that move is a lot bigger actually. But effectively, we are due a correction. But again, I wouldn't try and bet on when that correction is going to happen because effectively, in the past, we've done that 2,300 pip move before. Not pip, sorry, percentage move. Potentially, you could still see another 2,000 moves. So there is still room to the upside based on history. But yes, we are going to need that correction. But yeah, I'd wait for market structure to shift and also wait for that kind of complete change in narrative as well. Then you're absolutely right. There's a lot of room to the downside. But as of now, I would still be very much a buyer of gold. Talking long-term investment in gold for buys. Oh, okay. So you're waiting for a correction before you place any long-term investment. Yeah, that's smart as well. Again, it's always tricky. It's always tricky. It's the same logic with like the S&P as well, because it's kind of the same narrative here. You're expecting both markets over time to go up. Then you're looking for a good discount, a good correction to find a worthy place to enter it. And you don't know necessarily when that's going to come. It could come potentially very, very soon. You might still have to wait maybe another, 12 months, 24 months potentially to see a really good, healthy correction. And also how big of a correction are you looking for as well? Because you could very much argue this is a pretty big correction. What percentage move is that? That is a 11%. That's a pretty big correction just on the context of gold. So you could argue that is already a good correction to add for long-term investment. Then again, we might create new highs and go for a new leg. So I would suggest kind of have an idea of how big of a correction you want to see before it actually makes sense to buy. Because it could be a situation, especially over the next few years, if gold just explodes and becomes very, very bullish, we might not see big corrections like we had back here for potentially, multiple years, really. Of course, you probably have some mini crashes here and there, which could be great places to add positions on. But yeah, you just have to be very careful with the timing because if you miss those, gold's already gone again. But yeah, absolutely. With due a correction, can play some opportunities when that does happen. Let me take a look at that pound CAD take profit and stop loss. As you mentioned, 1.84675. 84675. So that will be around, okay, that's even lower. 84675. Am I reading that correctly? 84. Oh, that's your entry, sorry. 846. So your entry's around there. Stop loss 1.85. Okay, above the highs. And your take profit 1.83. So you're looking for, okay, a pretty big move here. Probably a similar move to me, actually. Yeah, 1.83 back to the lows there. So yeah, I'm looking at a very similar move as well. Yeah, I don't quite have my entry yet on the time frames I'm looking to trade, so I'm still on the sidelines, but I pretty much am looking at the similar trade. Push back to 1.83 back to take out those lows. I'm looking to see maybe if the market can maybe consolidate for a little bit, maybe have a slight deeper retracement before we do continue. But yeah, effectively looking at the same idea. Forex reliable, indices unpredictable, impulse. Not too sure what you mean by that. I mean, you could argue that indices are a bit more predictable because of their uptrending nature, and Forex is a bit more up and down, up and down. So yeah, I'm not too sure what you mean, to be honest, because there's different ways to look at it in terms of reliable and unpredictability. Dollar yen goes all-time session. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means as well. They talk about dollar yen through different trading sessions. I mean, if you're looking to trade dollar yen in, I mean, the best trading sessions would of course be, well, even London's pretty good, but US it would be of course the US session and the Asian session because of course you've got those two predominant currencies. But even London, you could probably see some moves there for dollar yen too. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad session to trade it in, but of course the bigger one's going to be US and the Asian session. Maybe that's what you mean by all-time sessions. I'm not too sure. Anyway, again, for the week up ahead, like I mentioned, indices is kind of where I think there's a lot of opportunity. You see some healthy pullbacks, but again, I'm just not being too cautious because because I've only recently started trading indices. One thing I've definitely picked up on the indices is that they're a lot more volatile in terms of you get fast moves quickly. Your price will be trending up very well. You get a sharp move down, the price continues to the upside. Forex, you don't see that as much. It's a bit more smoother because, of course, there's a lot more money at play. So for us to see a violent move is going to take a lot more pressure for that to happen. So once you get into a good trade on an FX pair, of course, eventually it's going to come back down, but you do get a pretty clean move to, especially on like euro dollar, for example. Of course, if you look at the CHF pairs, it gets a bit more messy there. But it's a lot smoother. I've noticed that the indices are a little bit more harsh, a bit more volatile, which means going to break even too early can be a bit of a detriment. So you have to be a bit careful there. But what I like about that is that normally because of how volatile it is, it gives opportunities, especially if the market's pretty high. You can still see some violent corrections, which gives some nice opportunities for a buyer. For example, a nice push up here, you're very close to highs. You get one last kind of violent push down, and that gives you an opportunity to find some buys to take it back to highs. Whereas FX is probably might give you a small pullback or just swing back to highs anyway. And of course, you get some really violent moves like this as well. But most of the time, because of the nature of the market, they're just opportunities to find some nice buying opportunities to find some entries. So in terms of the S&P, NASDAQ, US 30, I'm very bullish across the board, expecting all of them to return back to their all-time highs. So it's just about timing entries. And like I said, because of the Fed interest rate tomorrow, I would just wait till after the news has happened. I like the FTSE as well. Keeping one eye on the FTSE. This is pulled back into a nice area. We've got a nice overlap between all the VWAPs there as well. I like the opportunity. I like where we're coming back into. Just again, do I want to force any trades before the news? Even though the FTSE isn't directly, affected by the Fed interest rate, but it kind of is in a way as well. This market as well will be affected by the rates there too. So I have to be a bit careful, and that goes for pretty much all markets as well. So although I like where we're situated, I do think there's a lot of upside here for the FTSE, for US 30 as well. I would like to see something like this happen, and this would be a prime place for entries. S&P, I'm looking at this. Again, I'm not looking to trade all the indices. I'm just looking to see which one sets up well, which one gives good entries, risk to reward looks good. This is pretty much the same setup across the board. And I expect them all to play out or to fail, really. So just picking the better one. But indices, that's really where the focus is. Out of the USD pairs, like I said, dollar CAD, I like the shorts, but I don't really have a concrete level I'm looking to sell from. So just being patient there. Hopefully something will set up in the next few days. Aussie dollar, I like the buys there too, but again, looking for a bigger pullback. Euro dollar, I like the buys as well. Waiting for a bigger correction before hopefully find some entries again post news. Pound USD I like as well, but I think euro looks a bit better. Yeah, pound's got a bit of resistance above its head. A lot of VWAPs overlapping there, so I don't really want to buy into that. Hence, I'm looking for a much deeper correction. But again, I do expect the narrative to play out, especially dollar's the big driving force. If we can respect supply resistance, then I would expect that bias to continue. If we break through, then I'll be a bit careful. And then out of the crosses, I like pound CAD to the downside, waiting for opportunities on this one. Again, don't really have a level to short from just yet, so I'm waiting for price to create one before I do short it. So it might be a few days before I take an entry. Pound Aussie, likewise as well, looking for us to see new lows here, especially with Aussie seeing that strength from the news this morning. I do think there's a pretty likely chance we do see continuation to the downside. Of course, if you look at prior structure, being very consistent with these lower highs there as well. So in terms of direction, especially from a high time frame narrative, everything is pointing down. So in terms of the lower time frames, I'm just looking for opportunities to find a nice entry and a nice stop loss. So I would like to see pound Aussie make a move like this, and that'll give some nice opportunities for a short. And hopefully a swing back to lows with some decent risk to reward as well. So yeah, out of the crosses, pound Aussie, pound CAD, definitely my favorite. Yen pairs, I do like the yen pairs. It's just that they're a little bit too bullish for me right now. I need some corrections for them. If I'm jumping into any longs now, I don't really have much room to trade into. If you look at New Zealand yen, CAD yen, Aussie yen, dollar yen. I mean, dollar yen, yes. It's just, again, we've got news coming out, so I'd rather wait till after. But there could be some opportunities on dollar yen tomorrow. Swiss yen, true as well, same situation. We do have the interest rates for Swiss as well, but post interest rates, there could be some nice opportunities to take this back to highs. And of course, euro yen, that's been very bullish, just taking out new highs. So not really interested with entries just yet. Same thing for pound yen as well. So the yen pair is almost too bullish for me, maybe apart from one or two, but I'm waiting for some important news releases. USD pairs, there's some pretty nice opportunities on some dips. And indices, likewise as well, some nice opportunities on some dips as well. Very similar trades, to be honest. Yes, we could take a look at New Zealand CHF as well. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It does really help out. And of course, I do really appreciate it as well. So yeah, in terms of New Zealand CHF, it's an interesting one because this is a pair which looks like it's potentially going through a bit of a reversal. We've broken through some structure, momentum shifted as well. Again, I wouldn't say reversal in terms of, okay, I'm expecting this bearish trend to reverse. Absolutely not. It's still very much in play. But of course, we're breaking some structure on the lower time frame, so potentially this could start another pullback before maybe we continue at a later date. But there still could be some nice buying opportunities on the way up. So I would say New Zealand CHF looks like a really good buy. It's just, where do we buy it from? Well, the only place that stands out would be the retest of the high, maybe even slightly deeper, coming back into this demand zone. If we could see a correction back into that zone there, I think that would be a smart place for a buy. If I get the VWAP from that low there, only there. I mean, it could still catch up with price as we have the pullback. It might still catch up. But yeah, I would suggest some longs here for New Zealand CHF. Make the most sense. We've got a strong break of structure. Momentum's picked up. We've got confluence with the other CHF pairs. We've seen break of structure across the board. Aussie CHF breaking through highs here. CAD CHF breaking through highs here. Euro CHF breaking through highs here, and pound CHF breaking through highs here as well. So we've got break of structure across the board. So it's not just New Zealand CHF. So you've got that confluence of other time frames, other markets, agreeing. And then you've got some clear momentum as well. So I would suggest a healthy pullback. You've got a nice demand zone there, waiting just below support. If you could dip into that, I think that's an effective place to position yourself long, stop losses below, and hopefully a swing back to highs. And I do think it's a move the market kind of does need. It's been falling for quite some time, needs a bit of relief. So yeah, New Zealand CHF, I'd say buys are the best bet. It's counter trend, but you've got good merit to support that trend. You've got all the CHF trends shifting. You've got the break of structure. You've got momentum on your side as well. And you've got clear areas of support / demand resting below as well, which could give us another kick to the upside. So you've got support there. It is still counter trend, so it's always probability slightly lower. But you do have a lot of confluences supporting the idea. So yeah, New Zealand CHF, I would be bullish on this one. Again, it could be nice to wait till after the news on Thursday, because we do have the Swiss interest rates on Thursday as well. So let's see what happens there. Maybe the interest rates could induce the pullback potentially. And then that could be nice to buy the dip on the pullback, and as we continue higher, or of course, maybe interest rates just make us fly some more. We'll have to wait and see. And of course, the Fed interest rates will have an impact too. But yeah, New Zealand CHF, very bullish. Keep an eye on that. I'm not very interested in the CHF pairs just yet. Potentially, I might be looking at some longs in the next maybe coming days, coming weeks. But I wanna see how everything shakes from the higher time frame first. For now, indices pullbacks look really good. USD pairs look really good. A couple of the crosses, pound CAD, pound Aussie, quite bearish on the pound. And then hopefully some pullbacks for the yen pairs later on as well. So I do have quite a few markets which I'm very much focused on, just waiting for some entry triggers really. Waiting for a pullback at the demand zone, but I wanted your opinion. Thank you. No problem. Happy to help. Yeah, I completely agree with that then. I completely agree. Nice demand zone, located in a very smart place. You've got a clear break of structure. So probabilities are in your favor. The only bad thing about the idea, not bad thing, but the only opposing force for the trade idea is just that higher time frames, I would still say, are bearish. But you've got a break of structure on the 4-hour daily chart. So you do have enough confidence to support this being a good idea. It's just that I wouldn't be looking to shoot for the stars with this reversal. Let's say price does pull back from the high. I think a clear target just back to the high makes a lot of sense. You can always leave some positions to trail just in case we go further. But I think that logic there supports a nice trade idea. Not being too aggressive, but it makes perfect sense. But anyway, guys, we have reached the end of the stream. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in and showing some love, dropping some likes, subscribing to the channel. If you haven't done so, make sure you go and do that. It does really help out. And of course, check out the memberships if you are interested to follow the channel further. I do have trade ideas, which I post, extra technical videos, advice, breakdowns, trade breakdowns as well. So if you're interested, check it out. But as always, I'll be live again tomorrow, same time as always, 10 a.m. UK time. If you are finding the streams useful, make sure you do pop in, come say hi, or just chill with us. If you want some company. Very big day tomorrow, so of course a lot to go through, and of course we'll have a lot to discuss in the stream after that as well on Thursday too. So we'll see what happens till then. But of course, be safe in the markets, guys. Don't lose anything you can't afford to lose. That's the worst place to be in. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next stream. Take care.